Welcome to the Traffic Management Nuclear Weapons Related Material Orientation Training. Your role in receiving, packaging, and shipping these assets are crucial to our nation's ability to provide nuclear deterrence. Understanding the process is only half of the equation. The other half will be challenging due to the mindset of not only the military's priority-driven task, but our whole career field's ability to move cargo based on time frames. Our formal training has taught us to move cargo by the most expeditious mode based on transportation priorities. This priority-driven culture has been instilled into our minds from the first day on the job. There are missions that depend on our ability to transport cargo in a timely manner in order to support warfighters around the world. These missions dictate we process shipments in a matter of hours, not days. Lives depend on the cargo moving quickly. One of our core values states excellence in all we do. Sometimes our focus is more geared towards pushing the cargo out the door in order to meet transportation priorities. When it comes to nuclear weapons related material, our focus will be compliance driven versus priority driven. This will require a culture change that will challenge even the most experienced traffic management specialist.
We've made important changes in our internal processes to get more focus on oversight and resourcing of the nuclear enterprise inside the Air Force. And we're making some important cultural adjustments as well.
Any change in a culture takes time. What is a culture? There are several definitions available, but the one that we want to focus on is the attitudes and behavior that are characteristic of a particular social group or organization. Think of a culture. Take, for instance, Middle Eastern countries. Some of these cultures do not allow women to participate in social activities that cultures like America embrace. Having said that, America's views of women have not always been so accepting in our society. It took several decades for women to change that culture. The point is, we have to embrace this culture change in transportation processes, especially when we are dealing with nuclear weapons related material. What has led us to this point which requires this culture change? There were two incidences in particular that have forced the Air Force to change. The Taiwan 4 and B-52 incidents were highly publicized. These embarrassing incidents caused the Department of Defense to make the nuclear enterprise a #1 priority. The Taiwan 4 incident had 2 TO fingerprints all over it. You will receive more information on this incident in your orientation training later. So, how do you play a role in changing our new culture? First, accept the change yourself. Embrace the need for a compliance-based culture within the MWRM transportation process. You will be given the tools for this culture, such as Air Force guidance, Air Force instructions, Department of Defense directives, and internal processes. But the tools are only as good as the personnel who utilize them. The Surface Cargo Section has developed a comprehensive training plan to include a Transportation Protective Service guide that walks you through the process. Again, this guide is only as good as the personnel utilizing it. One thing you can count on in our business is constant change. It is imperative that you stay aware of changes in the transportation world and update any training material and/or guides to ensure compliance. To help ensure Vandenberg Air Force Base's compliance culture, we will aggressively seek knowledge and educate our personnel on the world's nuclear weapons landscape. You will be required to perform research on current events that help develop the nuclear threats affecting our nation. We will openly discuss the issues to enforce our role in nuclear deterrence and why it is important to accept the compliance culture. Why is it so important to change our culture when transporting nuclear weapons related material? Great question. This requires us to stop and think. Step away from the beans to bullets mentality we were ingrained with early in our careers. The material we are discussing plays a huge role in the way of life we enjoy and protect. There are nations around the world trying to obtain nuclear capabilities and possibly use them against us. That is why it is imperative that we do our job with 100% compliance, error-free, and ensure nuclear weapons-related material is transported properly. You will physically handle this material. You have been trusted to transport NWRM assets. Our nation's enemies are always seeking ways to obtain secrets or materials related to nuclear weapons. If we did not comply with the guidance provided, these items could fall into the enemy's hands. They could utilize reverse engineering to produce their own nuclear arsenals. They could also sell the items to rogue countries who wish harm upon the United States or our allies. Another concern is loss or damage. The guidance provided for shipping nuclear weapons-related material was developed to ensure positive accountability at all times. That's why we verify and confirm destination addresses are correct. That is why we also utilize authorized commercial carriers with tracking capabilities. If nuclear weapons-related material were not properly packaged, the items could become damaged, which would impact our nation's ability to provide nuclear deterrence. Think of it like this. An F-15 fighter jet is grounded due to a main landing gear malfunction, and you are required to ship the replacement parts in order to get it back in the air. You are accomplishing the same mission by transporting nuclear weapons-related material. You are ensuring that our nuclear arsenal is mission-ready by transporting the assets error-free. We challenge you to accept this culture. You're an integral part of the successful defense of our nation. We have embraced a team effort here at Vandenberg. We succeed as a team or we fail as a team. You will see during your training that this is not an individual process. Do not be offended or think your leadership does not have confidence in your transportation abilities. The nature of nuclear weapons-related material dictates that our processes be redundant. You will be part of a processing team and will verbally confirm all steps within the Air Force Space Command Form 4387. No matter what your rank, you will have the authority to stop the process if you notice any deviations from published policies or directives. These assets demand a level of attention to detail that cannot be compromised. Take this responsibility seriously. Our future as a nation depends on it. You are now ready for hands-on training, so pay attention. You will be evaluated and the training will be documented in your TBA records. Again, this culture change, which is compliance-driven, not priority-driven, will take time. For you, it starts now. We look forward to you working in the surface cargo section.